tutorial, we're going to be looking at how to make your own fondant animal characters. We're going to show you two different types. One that looks a little bit more cartoony and child friendly, and another that's a little bit more realistic. But we're going to start with the fondant animal character that's based on a cartoon effectively. This is a really fun way to decorate a children's birthday cake, for example. So I'm going to demonstrate here how to make a friendly looking lion. So I'm going to start off with a base. Now, what you need to bear in mind with this is that you are kind of sculpting. Imagine you're working with clay. You don't want to create a flat image. You want it to have 3D components and actually stand out from the cake. It may be that you're creating the entire character and it needs a body as well. So, as you can see, I was able to create a brown colour by just adding some dark food gel to a piece of yellow fondant icing to create the different variations of colours I wanted on my lion. I started with a flat base, but then the actual face is a sphere. I created a ball of fondant, rolled it up in my hands and then just placed it on top. Now you can get edible glue to fix your fondant together, but if you didn't want to pay out for that expense, you can just use water to help the fondant stick together so it doesn't fall apart. Think about all the little details, and this is why I say it's important to refer to a reference picture rather than working from imagination or memory. And with fondant icing, the same as with clay, you can create texture as well. So here, as well as increasing the stability by merging the head of the lion onto his mane, I'm creating the texture of fur. Now, if you did want to go on and create the body of the lion as well, rather than just plonking the head on top of the body, that's going to create a bit of an unstable fondant piece to sit on top of the cake. What you might want to use is a cocktail stick so that you can join the two pieces together and you've got that extra stability. If you are doing that, however, health and safety check, you must make sure that anyone who might be eating the cake is aware that there's additional materials within it that obviously could be a serious choking hazard. For this part of the tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make a fondant realistic looking animal. I've based mine on an elephant. This is really good fun, having a go and playing with the clay. Please don't be disheartened if things don't look too realistic to begin with. It is definitely a skill that you need to develop over time with practice. As before, I would highly recommend having a reference picture. I actually find it helps me to have a drawing of my picture. So I found an image to begin with, and then I drew it out so I can have a better understanding of the different features of the elephant. And once again, I've started with a flat base and I'm building on top of that. You can see that I am sculpting the different elements and shapes of the elephant's face. And it looks quite rough to begin with. It's not recognisable as an elephant and there are creases showing up. So you need to spend time smoothing those out with your sculpting tools or even with your fingers. If you don't spend that time at this stage, when you come to put in your food colouring or gel on top to add the extra colour, all of those creases are going to be heightened. They're going to be more visible with the addition of the food colouring, so they'll stand out more and show as imperfections. So it's quite important to just spend that bit of time smoothing things out and making your base structure look as smooth as possible. Now, the good thing with fondant is that you have a fair amount of time before it starts to become too dry for you to handle. So it means that you can keep working on it for a little while, and if something goes a little bit wrong or you think it could be improved, you can take away parts or you can add more fondant. So it's not a case of doing it once and it going wrong and you having to start again. You can be patient with yourself and just keep trying to improve and refine your model. Something that I've really liked being able to achieve on this model was the sort of leathery folds of the elephant's ears, because I literally was able to pick up the fondant and fold it to get the same effect. The more you handle fondant and play with it in this way, the more you're going to have an understanding of the properties of it, how well it is able to be moulded and how malleable it is, and allows you to create intricate shapes like this. Now I've made an elephant on quite a small scale. If you wanted to make an impressive looking cake that was in the form of an animal, obviously you wouldn't make it out of fondant icing alone. You would need a structure of a sponge cake underneath. If you were then laying over your icing onto that sponge structure, you would need something like a buttercream, a thin layer of buttercream on the sponge, and that would help the icing to stick to the cake. So here I'm using food gel, watered down, literally with water, and I'm using my food safe paintbrushes to add in the details. And rather than just painting it all one colour, I'm trying to create different tonal effects as well to make it look more 3D and realistic. If you did have the shimmer powders, you could use perhaps a white shimmer powder on the tusks here to make them look a little bit more realistic and add extra texture too.